Hello, Leo, and welcome into your reading for the second half of August. Before we jump into looking specifically at what's happening with you for career and jobs, life and or love and relationships, and then life path and mission, I did want to touch on some of the bigger events that are happening. And going on right now from the 11th through the 14th is the Perseid meteor shower. So if you are in a place where you have some relatively dark skies and can go out at night, that would certainly be something to take a look at. There's also going to be a new moon in Leo, so in your sign on the 16th. And this one's really going to be about pushing new creative projects, maybe unconventional things, looking at things differently. Maybe there's been a project that you've been interested in, but you're like, oh, that's a little bit out there. Maybe I'll wait. Now's a great time to be doing that. We also have Mars entering Libra on the 27th, and that's going to bring with it some more energy for you in terms of dealing with people. With all of this heavy energy that's been going on this summer, maybe you feel like you've been being short with people in whatever capacity, whether that's work, whether that's friends, family, partners, and you are going to get kind of a little burst of energy, in terms of being able to deal with people towards the end of the month. And then kind of the last big event besides the retrogrades, which we'll dive into as we go through the reading, is the blue moon. So we do have a supermoon in Pisces, and that's on August 30th, 31st. So it is a supermoon where it appears brighter and larger. And it's also a blue moon because it's the second full moon in the month. And this one's really going to be about major endings. Normally, full moon time is kind of closing out of cycles and releasing what's not working for you. And this is going to be a major one. So there's going to be increased emotional energy for you, and that emotional energy is going to kind of give you that surge or that sense of, let's get rid of what isn't working. You're going to have better connection to your intuition so that you can see what is really serving you and what isn't, and what just needs to be let go of. So it's a great time for meditation and reflection and healing. But let's go ahead and jump in. And like I said, we'll talk about the things that are in retrograde as we go through. But let's jump in on starting first with career and job. So in the recent past, you have your Two of Pentacles, then your Two of Cups, and your present energy and High Priestess in reverse for what's to come. So with your Two of Pentacles in the past, you have been kind of dealing with juggling different priorities or weighing your decisions. So there's a couple things you're trying to think about. You have some balls in the air and you're trying to deal with some of that change. And that's where you've been thinking about. And now you're in more of that energy of partnership and connection. So you've had all those things going on, and maybe you've been able to reach out and get somebody to help you with some of that. But it is more of that happy feeling of being a little bit more balanced and in connection. But then with your High Priestess in reverse as like your next level of energy coming in, there is some of that uncertainty and secrets. So this is kind of maybe a little bit of a warning of, if you're feeling like you're in good connection right now, just be mindful that there is a little bit of energy here of maybe there were some secrets or ulterior motives. So if all of a sudden somebody new has swept in to try to help you balance things, use your intuition, tap into that intuition in the coming weeks to be able to root out, is this person really here to help me, or are they here for some other sort of maybe self-serving type of a purpose? But be mindful as well. So one of the retrogrades that's happening, and retrogrades are those times when you're being called upon to turn inward and see what needs to be healed, see what growth you need. And Mercury goes retrograde on the 23rd. So Mercury retrograde is notorious in terms of being a time where people are more irritable. There's a lot more miscommunication, technology disruptions, things like that. So be mindful that this is that energy that's coming in, is that maybe there's some secrets, but really take your time to think about it and examine it, because that's the energy that's coming in. So, maybe there is something to be concerned about in terms of whoever has swept in to help you, but also don't let your, I guess, fears run away with you. So really rely on your intuition. So that's kind of what's going on for you from a job and career perspective. We do still have all the same retrogrades that we were talking about last time, with Venus, Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune, as well as Chiron in retrograde. The last one that's moving into retrograde now in this second half of the month is Uranus, and that's going to be in Taurus. So that one is about breaking free of this stagnant routine, and embracing change, and, kind of putting together a plan for the future. So really shaking things out. If it's not working, fix it, push that energy out. And with Taurus being about stability, this is really kind of pushing you to put together your plan for the future. It's kind of the whole thing of, if you don't know where you want to go, how do you know if you're on the right path? So looking at relationships and love, in your past energy, you have your Five of Pentacles. You're currently sitting in the Emperor in reverse energy. And then the next level of energy coming through, or the near future, is the Chariot. So the Five of Pentacles, like, as where you have been, this is really about like struggling and hardship and feeling like you're out in the cold. So it looks like there have been some problems or some issues in your relationship. If you're in a relationship, if you're single, that's probably the feeling of, you don't necessarily want to be single, but you're having a hard time finding a partner, or finding somebody that's of interest or compatible with you. And so that's putting you in the energy now, since that's where you're coming from, where you have this sense of like, you have this rigidity to you, but there's this sense of, things are out of control. So you're trying to control it because you feel like it's not under control. So it's giving that kind of tense energy right now. And then the next one coming through, though, is that there is going to be some fast forward movement and overcoming some obstacles. So it looks like there is going to be some good progress at some point during the month. So it could be, if we're looking at that Uranus in retrograde at the end of the month, where you're breaking free of these stagnant routines, that could be part of that energy that's pushing things in a more favorable direction, where you feel like, okay, I need to get out of this energy. I felt like things, were a struggle before. They were a hardship. I've been trying to control it. And, and usually the Emperor in reverse, that lack of control and that rigidity, and you're trying to get control over something, oftentimes that's seen as more of like a desperate, like you're struggling to do that. But in this case, it seems like that is working, like that. Okay, I'm trying to get control, and I'm going to be moving things forward. So, and it's a matter of finding that balance between controlling the situation, like not letting it just spiral out into, craziness, without being too restricting. I mean, the universe has its natural flow, so there is an element of needing to go with the flow, but there's also that sometimes leads people in the direction of, well, I guess if it's meant to be, it'll be. I guess whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And that's almost like a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism of, if you've been disappointed in the past when you've tried things and maybe you've failed or things haven't worked out the way you want. So then now you just kind of throw your hands up. Well, I'm not going to try because the universe has its own plans. Like that's not, when people say surrender to the universe, that's not what they're talking about. So here was a jumper card, King of Swords. Now we're moving on to, well, since I was talking about relationship part, actually let's put the King of Swords there. And that's about kind of authority and discipline and rational thinking. So like I said, the that sense of things were out of control and kind of stepping in and putting that discipline in place to be able to move things forward. So that looks like things will be moving in a positive direction, or you'll get some resolution from a relationship standpoint. So let's take a look at life path and mission. That's going to be Queen of Swords in the recent past, the Hierophant in reverse, and then the Hanged Man. So you're coming from this independent, open-minded type of energy. So you're perceptive, seeing what's going on around you. That's where you have been, and that's put you in a position where you're kind of breaking out of the mold. So you're breaking out of, here's what this structured box is that society thinks I need to live in. And so, you've been enjoying that freedom. But then the next energy that's coming in is kind of like this self-imposed period of reflection. So you're kind of taking a step back, looking at things from all different angles. What do I need to readjust? So, but that is a good perspective, because if you're kind of bucking tradition and you're going outside of the box, then sometimes it's a matter of kind of taking that step to say, okay, that's what I was doing. Is that still working for me? And with that Hanged Man energy, it looks like you are going to be reflecting on that. Is it still working for me? And that's something only time will tell, and only you'll be able to see whether that's working for you. But that is good to have those cycles of, if you're going to break out and try something new, then having those periods of reflection to see, is it what you thought it was going to be? Are there tweaks that need to be made, changes that need to be made? So let's see what's coming through on your Gaia card for you. All right, loss, grief, sadness, and resurrection. So, it seems like that's probably more so along here, that, that's where it feels like it's resonating, is that, somebody was coming in to try to, I guess, rescue you or help you out of a bad situation, and you thought it was a good balanced partnership. But then in the near future, there's kind of that uncertainty, and wait a second, is that really what I thought it was? Which may end up leading you to having feelings of loss, like, hey, I thought that was going in the right direction, and it really doesn't seem like it is. So let's see what our Sacred Creator card is. In flow with money. And some of that can be a matter of, and we'll pull another one as well, that you do need to be, conscientious of your money, of your resources. This one, the spark of hustle. And so with that, I would say those also are kind of going through either on career or your life path, depending on what direction your life path is pulling you. If some of these are endeavors that are also jobs for you, maybe you decided that you wanted to be a healer or a massage therapist, and that was really your dream. That's what you're going through, then if you're going to try to make that a career, then, there is hustle that needs to happen with it in order to bring in that flow of money. And if you're thinking outside of the box, usually that's going to be a concern. Oftentimes when you're thinking outside of the box in terms of what you've traditionally thought you're supposed to be doing, that often is things that light up your soul that aren't necessarily as financially lucrative. And that's when you have that kind of that push and pull between, I really want to do this, but my family thinks I'm crazy. So should I really be doing it? And so it's a matter of how do you, some of this self-imposed reflection, how do you turn this into something bigger, something that's sustainable? And a lot of it's going to be that hustle whenever you're starting something new. All right, and let's take a look at this card. Ghost Pipe, immerse in your shadow's wisdom. So this is going along with some of this intuition as well, how we were talking about that earlier, about really drawing on your intuition, and like the blue moon's going to pull that in, having a greater connection with your intuition. So if you immerse yourself in your shadow's wisdom, some of that is excuse me, some of that is a matter of, being able to sit in the stillness and the quietness to hear your intuition, to hear your inner wisdom. And, and that is applicable across any of the different aspects of your life. So definitely over the next couple of weeks, it looks like there's some things happening maybe from a job standpoint to keep an eye out for. And then it looks like there's some, good energy on some of your life path about being able to move in that right direction. And this looks like it's a little bit more, from a love perspective, a little bit more, there are some bumps. It seems like you're overcoming it, and looks like there's going to be some fast movement on the heels of where you're sitting right now. So as always, take only what resonates from this message and leave the rest. I will continue to do, I'll have a twin flame reading and a Is This Your Person reading coming out soon, as well as the daily card pulls. So if this is information that you found helpful, if it's something that you think somebody else would be able to benefit from, I'd welcome you to share the information with them. And if you want to be alerted when those other new videos post, make sure to hit the notifications. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.